Too healthy.
All right, FightFan.com here with the legendary Bert Sugar. I just want to say, first off, sir, it's an honor and a pleasure. For us. I guess we wanted to ask first about the fight. If you could maybe give us your thought about the importance of the fight for Mayweather and what your thoughts are on the fight itself.
Well, I think it's important for boxing. It transcends just Mayweather. I mean, boxing is about ready to enter into its best or worst period for the year. Not that there haven't been great fights, but they're now coming quicker. November is obviously Mayweather Baldomir. Next week we've got Klitschko and Brock.
Right, yeah.
And the week after we have Eric Morales and Manny Pacquiao.
That's right, yeah.
So it's back to back to back.
Yeah.
So finally we have something to talk about rather than defend.
That's right. Very good point.
I am so tired of defending boxing.
Yeah.
And now we have something to boast about. And this fight, the first of the three, Mayweather and Baldomir. Now you have Mayweather telling everybody he's not only the best pound for pound today, but he considers himself the greatest of all time. This is a hurdle to prove it. Though having written a book called Boxing's Greatest Fighters, where I rate him 1 to 100, I really don't see him big better than some of the top fighters like Sugar Ray Robinson, etc. Still, he's got to prove something because Baldomir is a substantial, I won't say great, but substantial hurdle. Anecdotally, all we have on him is the 2 fights we've seen. We saw him beat Zab Judah, we saw him take apart Arturo Gatti.
Yep.
I even asked one of the writers here from Buenos Aires, give me a little background on Carlos Baldomir. He didn't know.
Not a lot.
Yeah, he says he took fights wherever he could make a buck. He was really off the radar, even in Argentina. How do we know?
Right.
But what we know about him is that he's a Rock of Gibraltar. He was probably born at 147.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he walks around 180. He was probably born at 147. Here's Floyd moving up. He started his career at 17 pounds lower, 130.
That's right.
And if you know the Newton law of equal and opposite reactions, the only class in physics I was ever awake for, it would tell you that as you move up, your punches have less effect and the opponent's punches have more.
Right.
And Baldomir's going to be a problem for him, particularly in the early rounds. He's going to be right in front of him. Remember, the only 2 fights that Floyd's ever had any problems with were Carlos Hernandez, who was on top of him.
Right.
And Jose Luis Castillo, the first fight.
That's right.
So if Baldomir can do that, albeit his hand speed is somewhat similar to that of, I'd say, Venus de Milo's, he still will prove a problem in the early going. He also has one other thing he does that nobody seems to have picked up on. Like Bernard Hopkins did against Antonio Tarver. Right-handed, he leads with his right hand and comes in behind it.
Right.
And since Floyd rolls and waits for the counter, that's going to throw him off in the early going. That said, I still think by the middle rounds, Floyd will control it, and it'll be a virtuoso performance down the stretch with Floyd winning a decision.
So is there a chance for a stoppage, do you think? A cumulative?
I really don't see it. I mean, Baldomir's a Rock of Gibraltar. I mean, you look at him, he can't move him.
Right.
I mean, a welterweight can't move him. Nikolai Valia, about 300 pounds, can move a mountain. But I put to you that no, that's not going to happen. And Floyd's only problem is going to be his fragility of his hands.
Right.
In that Hernandez fight I mentioned, which I broadcast,
Yeah.
he went to the floor, but he didn't go to the floor. His hand hurt him so much he put it on the floor, and the referee called it a knockdown.
Right, yeah.
So he's not going to be knocked down. I don't see Baldomir to be knocked down.
Right.
The only thing might be a cut, and I don't know that Baldomir and the writer from Buenos Aires couldn't help me if he cuts.
That's right.
So I suspect it goes to 12 rounds.
Okay. What about the significance of...
And also I haven't always been right. I did pick Japan in World War II, but I had 8 points.
Nobody's ever always right, I don't think so. What about the significance of the lineage, the welterweight title? Does that carry any weight these days, the lineage, or?
It's the only thing we have to fall back on. I'm one of those old fogies who believes in the history and the traditions of boxing. Yes, eight champions, 8 world champions, no fractional champions, none of this alphabet soup we carve up the championship into pieces this big. And lineage is what we built it on. That so-and-so beat so-and-so beat
Yep.
so-and-so beat so-and-so. Now there have been breaks in the lineage, but we can always rationalize or hop, skip, and jump them. So Baldomir's owning what we consider to be the lineage. It's a WBC.
Right.
And the only reason it's not the others is because he didn't pay them their sanctioning fees.
That's right, yeah, because welterweight's one of the divisions where it has been fairly congruent over the last decade.
Yeah, I mean, it has a flow to it,
Yeah.
a natural succession.
Right.
Like Kings of England.
Right.
And here we had to have a jump skip in the Kings of England. If Edward ran off to marry, Willis, or whatever her
Right.
name was.
Right, yeah.
But the welterweight division is one of the classic divisions. For those people who don't know, by parenthetically, welter is a term that came from horse racing.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, someone was asking me about that, and we couldn't figure out the origins of welter, but
It's from horse racing.
it is. Really?
It has to do with weight in horse racing.
Right.
I throw that in because nobody gives a damn, but I throw it
Well,
in.
it's funny you mentioned that, because we were talking about that with someone a couple weeks back, and no one could figure it out.
But no, this is a good fight, and I also think that anyone who's a boxing fan wants to see the best in boxing, just as if you're a golf fan, you want to see a Tiger Woods
Yeah.
or whatever. And Floyd Mayweather is
Yeah.
the best there is.
Absolutely. Okay, well, maybe
That was the
we'll...
longest answer you ever got on a single question.
Well, that was good. That was exactly what we wanted to
Bob
do.
Sheridan
Yeah.
talked for a good half hour.
That's
one time,
true.
too.
Yeah.
Bob Sheridan, I'm good.
We'll check that out. All right, I guess that's all we got. Thanks again, Mr. Sugar. It's a privilege and an honor.
fun. Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks very much. Cheers.
Did I give you anything?